Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Hey, fans, what an exciting game it was last night in Houston. Oklahoma State played their second game of the best college invitational in the country being played this weekend, hands down, and played the number one team in the United States. Now, Texas A&M now has lost 4 games in a row, so there is some context to that. They will not be anywhere as close to the number one ranked team coming this next week. But when Oklahoma State played them, they're ranked number one last night, and OSU took them down in their backyard. I tell you, A&M, no, not to take any credit away from OSU, but A&M right now, they just look like they have a team-wide yips situation on defense, on offense. From a mentality perspective, all of it just looks like they have the yips at this point right now in the season after making the finals last year. Jim Schlossnagle moved on to the University of Texas, which is a big slap in the face. Their hitting coach, I can't remember his name right now, took over, and they have a lot of work to do. So, hey, those are all their problems. So the job for OSU last night, in my opinion, you could see that the mentality was off for A&M. You could see that they're fighting themselves. So the job for OSU is to get a lead and then just not do anything that would allow Texas A&M any kind of momentum. And it almost started off to where you were going to let the Aggies off the hook early because you came out and you had the early error, you had a walk, or I think actually it was a hit batsman, and the first 2 guys got on for Texas A&M, and you're like, guys, you're giving them free baseball. You're giving them freebies to allow them to feel some momentum and get over all of the struggling feelings they have. Then Harrison Bodendorf, and that was after Oklahoma State struck out twice in the top half of the first inning. And then Harrison Bodendorf, who was absolutely fantastic all night long. Let's get some video up of his performance last night. Harrison Bodendorf came in and just absolutely, here he is right here. Let me back that up. Came in and shut the door. Wow. What a performance for him. And by that time, it was 0-0 moving out of the first inning. You kind of survived that first round of freebies, if you will, if you're OSU. And then Garrett Shull hit the home run. He got the lead. And Harrison Bodendorf, Drew Blake, and Sean Youngerman just never let Texas A&M breathe. See that changeup right there? To the outer half and just simple straight tumble. So not only is it to the perimeter, and then there is another changeup on the inner half that works both. So you see him work both sides of the plate. Now look at that tailing fastball. So you're working the tailing fastball and the changeup off of the same tunnel right there on the outer half. Fastball is fading to the arm side and changeup is tumbling. So you're giving 2 different shapes to the exact same location and 2 different speeds. Then you're able to do that, straight tumble it down the middle. Now, the important part of that right there, that's how he gets his swing and miss, is if you watch this pitch, and I'm actually going to put it on a quarter of a speed so you can see it right. Okay, let me get it right there. Okay, see the location? That is a strike, but it's on the outer half, right? But at this point, as the hitter's looking at this pitch, that is absolutely a pitch. Right now, if you're not committing to swing at that pitch, you are not even going to be able to come close to hitting that. So the hitter at this point has to commit to swinging at that pitch because right now it is carrying the zone. But watch, whoop, right out of the zone. You can see way too big of a swing for that hitter for Texas A&M. That is what Harrison Bodendorf, if I can get that off the screen, did all night long to Texas A&M. He pitched to the perimeters. He moved the ball left. He tumbled the ball, and then definitely he moved the ball right quite a bit to that back door and then also the back foot. So he had the left turn to his changeup. It were actually more so for his 2-seam. He had the left turn for his 2-seam. He had the right turn to his slider. He had the tumble to his changeup. He pitched the perimeters. His strike percentage wasn't incredible. And so he was not afraid to pitch the perimeter and get behind in counts while trying to see that right turn there. So you saw the left turn of the 2-seam. There's the right turn of that back foot slider we talk about. And then he stole a bunch of strikes of that slider too, right there. See? He stole a bunch of strikes with that just get me over slider as well. And so get me over slider, back foot slider, both turn right, 2-seam turning left, change up tumbling. Not afraid to pitch to the perimeter, even if it meant there's the fastball up in the zone. Even if it meant he got behind in counts, he was courageous in getting back into counts. And also, it was like that effectively out of the zone. I don't like to use the term effectively wild because he wasn't wild. He was very pinpointed in terms of there's that back door slider. See, you've seen the back foot, the back door. You've seen the get me over. All different purposes to the same pitch. There's the back foot. You saw the back door and the back foot on back-to-back pitches, and it is adios. Out of here, it says Harrison Bodendorf to the Aggies. Then you're on the outer half of the play. I like seeing Jason Jones. So just what a wonderful performance for Harrison Bodendorf. Absolutely just masterful job. And, he was a freshman All-American in Hawaii last year. So he is a very talented young man, very, very crafty, very crafty is the wrong word. I don't like using that word either because I think that insinuates that you don't have great stuff. And I think Bodendorf does. Very skillful, I'll say that. It's execution and stuff. A lot of guys nowadays are stuff over execution. I think he's equal. His stuff and execution are exactly equal. So 5 innings, 1 hit, no run, 7 strikeouts, a walk. He towed the mound to take the mound in the 6th inning. Had to come out due to what Rex and Chief were saying were left knee issues. So not exactly sure where that's going to go, but hopefully Harrison Bodendorf is okay because he was big time last night. 85 pitches, 51 strikes. He pitched the perimeters, like I said, effectively out of the zone. Not effectively wild, but effectively out of the zone. And just very, very good. Harrison Bodendorf was last night. So it was exciting to see his big performance, and Oklahoma State absolutely needed it because they need to win some games this weekend. I mean, I talk about the process all the time, but this weekend needs to be about results. Oklahoma State did not need to come down to Houston, lose all 3 games. So the win last night kept it from being just a complete failure of a weekend, in my opinion. If you win today, it turns it to a total success. I think today's game is huge. Now, not to say that if you lose the game, it's that big of a deal because, you're gonna just move right on. You're going to grow, and you're going to become a good team by the end of the year. So not to make that big of a deal out of it. But if you could win today, I think that solidifies with all the newcomers on this team just how much ability this team has. And I think they would prove to themselves that this actually is one of the better teams in the United States of America, even with the youth, even with the turnover, with the new players. How about Garrett Shull? Woo-hoo-hoo! Look at that long ball, baby. The young man, the freshman out of Enid, talk about all the time, treasure troves of tools. Wow. How about that home run from Garrett Shull? He is that first of all proves just how strong he is. We know that, how talented he is, and just how the moment's not too big for him. Kapow! Wow, look at that. That is super, super, super impressive. Garrett Shull, and the thing about it is, Oklahoma State, there was no score in the game, and OSU, they, just to get the lead on A&M, to make A&M just kind of continue that struggling feeling. First career home run, Garrett Shull, will not be his last one. As Rex says on the radio, goodbye, gone for Garrett Shull, the freshman out of Enid, Oklahoma, played for the Hall of Famer Brad Gore there for the Plainsmen. So what a moment it was for him. And lo and behold, it was the only run that OSU was going to need all night long because the pitching was simply fantastic. But to add to it, Jason Jones. I've said many times, I know he likes to turn on the ball, and I know he likes to let it eat because he has power like Pete Incaviglia when he does that. That home run he hit in Arlington to the left, into the left field bleachers, was just stupid. I mean, it was just like, what in the world was that? That was like a Pete Incaviglia type hit, right? I mean, he just hit it so hard. I know he can do that. But I'm telling you, that right there is a swing spot, his sweet spot. Because whenever he thinks right center, it's like Griffin Lockwood Powell, who I talked to the other day in the Dodgers system. It's not that he wants to hit every ball to right center. It's just that his timing is to right center, the opposite field gap, because that keeps him from tilting too much. It keeps him from dumping the barrel too much. It keeps him from swinging up too much because it makes his timing deep. And typically speaking, the deeper you let the ball that's the flattest part of your swing. And if you're hitting the ball at the flattest part of your swing, you're going to give yourself the best chance at hitting the ball because your timing doesn't have to be perfect. You're more so matching the plane of the pitch as it comes in. So that right center field gap, I think, is absolutely huge for Jason Jones, but there's a lot of people that know a lot more about this than I do that could probably answer those questions better than I could. That's just my take on the situation, but that was just a beautiful double to put OSU up 2-0. And then here's another one. Colin Brigman, a young man who, quite frankly, has feast and famine in his offensive profile. It seems like he's either hitting a gigantic home run to help Oklahoma State win, or he's striking out. That seems like that's been his career at OSU. So what's big about this? Yes, it put Oklahoma State up 3-0. It continued just the fact within A&M's mind, hey, we suck right now. Like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. We're not helping ourselves. It continued that just kind of that negativity in Texas A&M's mind to take, and it added a run, 3-0. But more than anything, look, it was a situation to where that right here, Colin Brigman just decided, you know what, I'm just going to put the ball in play. To hell with trying to hit one 700 feet. Look at that. I mean, let that ball get deep. The path of the hands was fairly flat, and he just let that ball get to the back of the zone and just was really short, really quick, and really compact to the ball. I'm not saying Colin needs to swing like that every single time he's at the plate because he can hit it 500 feet, and OSU needs to do that, right? He needs him to hit home runs, just like we need. I love the way Nolan Schubert's hitting for average. I've mentioned he's putting the team at bats in front of personal game, but we do need Nolan Schubert to start hitting home runs. This team needs Colin Brigman to hit home runs, but they also need him to do that from time to time as well. And so it was good to see that he at least has that in his tool bag, because Colin Brigman is a guy, if he may start making more consistent contact, this Oklahoma State offense goes from explosive to explosive and consistent. And then also, how about the get me on, get me over, get me in from Drew Culberson? Braden Smith then laid down a bunt, and then Donovan was fat. So the Oklahoma State scored his third and fourth runs. Check this out for size. Oklahoma State scored his third and fourth runs, both on ground balls to the third baseman. Right? Okay? So you don't have to hit home runs to score every run. College players, even the number one team in the country, if you put the damn ball in play, college players will make mistakes. So if you don't put the ball in play and you swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss, they don't make mistakes because they're not having to make plays. Bunt, it's called putting pressure on the defense. Even at the major league level, but certainly at the Division I college level, as great as these players are, if you put pressure on them, they will make mistakes. No doubt about it. There's the ground ball for LaSalle. And then Culberson, he forces the issue. Culberson can really run, by the way. Get up and go score, young man. That a boy. The transfer from Missouri. Make that baby 4-0. Pokes, and that was all they were going to need right there. Drew Culberson, solid base hit. He had that I want him on my team type of day. Bunted for a base hit. Got a base hit to left field. Stole second base. He advanced to third base and forced the error on A&M to score the fourth run. So, yes, Harrison Bodendorf was the player of the game, no doubt about it. But I'll tell you what, Drew Culberson deserved a 1A because he absolutely played that I want him on my team type of game. He played the game of baseball the exact way that it is meant to be played. So that was a thing of beauty to watch from Drew Culberson. Showed off really his skills. We had not seen any of his offensive game coming into this weekend. Showed off the speed, the bunting ability, the ability to get base hits. And then how about Drew Blake? Came in, and I'll tell you this about Drew. He came in 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 5 strikeouts, no walks. A lot of courage from Coach Walton to take Blake out, who was in the rocking chair, as Rex kept saying all night, and bring in the D2 transfer from Westmont, who's just awesome. I love Sean Youngerman, who did his job. Drew Blake just kept spinning the ball. So you can see Texas A&M, their big swings, they just are not picking up spin. I mean, look how far off they are on those sliders. That little cutter in on the righty. We talked about that cutter for right-handed pitchers that gets in on lefties that Oklahoma State likes to use. Well, reverse that. How about a left-handed pitcher and Drew Blake throwing that cutter in underneath the hands of the right-hander. You can see A&M just not picking up spin. Give Coach Walton credit. He smelled blood with that. He smelled the fact that A&M was not picking up spin, and so Bodendorf and Blake both spun the ball. See there? That should be a hanger, but because they're just, and that's their All-American center fielder. I can't remember his name right now, but it's an extremely good player. But look how far off he is just on a simple little slider. Not a big deal. You can shake your head all you want, but see ya. I mean, go ahead and shake your head all you want. Yeah, I'm on it. You're not. Drew Blake just absolutely dominated A&M last night. 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 5 strikeouts, no walks. I was surprised that Youngerman did come in because Drew Blake was in such a good spot last night. But I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I knew exactly what Sean was going to do because he is so good. So let me say this about Drew. This is what Oklahoma State has to have out of him. He has to come in and bring stability. He has to come in and bring excellence. There's so much youth on this team. Drew Blake is one who's been around for a long time. He has to be the model. He has to be the rock. He has to be that grandpa, if you will, of this staff. Look at that thing just die and dive into the dirt. He has to be the one that everybody else can rely on so the young kids can grow around him. And if that happens, then watch out because this team is going to get very good. So he gave way to Sean Youngerman. Oklahoma State used 3 pitchers last night. And, hey, to be honest with you, you know, Sean Youngerman, he has spin rates well above 2,300. You know, that 2,300 on the spin rate, on the RPMs of your fastball, the backspin, is typically speaking the cutoff between a 4-seam and a 2-seam. Anything 2,300 and above has such good carry, you want it to go straight as you can because you want to have as much carry on it as you can. Anything 2,300 and below is a 2-seam, and you want it to move because it doesn't have enough carry to get by hitters if it stays straight. So Sean Youngerman has carry well over 2,300. Okay, he has RPMs, backspin, spin rate, whatever you want to call, well over 2,300. So he can just rear back and throw a straight fastball, and his ball is going to explode, and it's going to get by even great hitters because it just has so much carry to it. And then we saw what I was really proud of Sean, first big moment at OSU, first 2 guys get on. It's in the backyard of A&M. Things could have easily went sideways. He just kept filling up the zone, and then he also spun the ball. So we know about the big fastball for Youngerman. We know about the carry. Did not know how he would execute in a huge. I mean, I had a good idea because I've talked to his past coaches at Westmont and all that kind of thing. But still in an environment like that, I mean, you're in a major league stadium. You're against the number 1 team in the country. You don't know how he's going to react, right? And he just went right in the zone, showed that California cool, got 3 outs. You can see Ian Doherty. I love Ian Doherty. He is just such an emotional leader for this team and did his job. So great job, Sean Youngerman. First big moment at OSU. Absolutely huge success, just the same way as last night's game was. So Oklahoma State is 1-1 in this invitational. Just like they did in Arlington, they had a good Saturday game. Arlington, the Sunday game, was not good. Hopefully this Sunday game is better against Mississippi State. Today at 2 o'clock, I will have all the coverage. I'm going to sync the radio call from Rex and the Chief to the action. And so make sure and follow on all the social medias. That would be X, Facebook, or Instagram. So, hey, until next time, I would like to thank you for tuning in. I'm Casey Porter of OkState Daily. Go Pokes!